hormone or kind of a precursor, and is not under the banned steroid act itself, but still doesn't seem to show effectiveness. When we're looking at ephedra or ephedrine-containing supplements, this is one that was on the market. It was effective in weight loss, and people were taking it and just flying off the shelves, and then people started having heart issues and actually dying from consuming these ephedrine containing supplements. So the FDA, these were reported, the FDA investigated, and they banned any of these products. And there's a safety concern for anything less than 10 milligrams and less in general. And we don't ever want to recommend those for our athletes. Finally, when we look at the most recent sports nutrition recommendations, we can see that there's a couple other types of supplement categories added in here. We see sports foods, as we've talked about, with our drinks, our bars, our gels, etc. These can be used and can be helpful for athletes and are often used as convenience to provide certain benefits, such as some carbohydrate during exercise, for instance, and they are effective, but we want to caution athletes of using them inappropriately and really if unneeded. Medical supplements, again, those might be what we mentioned, our vitamins, our minerals, etc. Same recommendation goes, that we want to make sure that we have the evidence of needing this supplement, so of a deficiency or a low level of some of these, and we want to have the appropriate professional recommend these, whether our doctor or dietitian. We want to make sure that we're just not self-prescribing these. One thing to mention as well, and I believe that we talked about it previously, but when we mention creatine, this is where we think of that phosphocreatine system. So creatine can actually improve performance with repeated bouts of high-intensity exercise that have short recovery periods. Sound familiar? It has a direct effect on our competition performance and enhanced capacity for training. So yeah, it is an ergogenic effect. It does increase creatine and phosphocreatine concentrations. It may enhance glycogen stores. It may have a direct effect on muscle protein synthesis. Still looking at some of this. But again, there are some concerns in that there's some acute weight gain. So if it's a weight-sensitive sport, that might be of some concern. May cause GI discomfort. Some products might not have the appropriate amount of creatine. So we want to look for kind of a pure product that we, as with any product, want to have our coaching staff review, again, to make sure that it's not containing any banned substances. So we talked about caffeine. I'm going to move over on that one. For sodium bicarbonate, this is one that, again, will help with the acid-base balance and can be taken pre-exercise with an acute dose and increases extracellular buffering capacity. So it can improve performance because it may lessen the acidity that may occur that could lead to fatigue. Another side effect may be GI distress. Again, that just depends on the athlete. Beta-alanine we mentioned, and then finally nitrate. Nitrate has been shown to improve exercise tolerance and economy. It's been shown to improve performance in endurance athletes who are non-athletes. We want to increase our plasma nitrate concentrations to increase the production of nitric oxide, and this can come specifically from concentrated sources of food. One very popular lately, beetroot juice. This may be something that the athlete has to get an acquired taste for. Maybe something that could cause GI discomfort. Might have some some difference in tolerance for those, but this is promising as well. Again, to kind of bring this full circle, there are so many supplements out there. The ones we touched on today, probably only the tip of the iceberg. However, those are the ones that tend to be most well researched and supported by evidence as being potentially ergogenic, actually showing evidence in improving performance or decreasing time to fatigue, or that we know do not increase performance and are not safe and effective. So it will be important to look through these and look through, I believe it is page 518 and 519 in the sports nutrition guidelines that are posted in Blackboard, and through these slides to identify what supplements you may actually recommend to clients looking at safety and efficacy and research. We want to pay attention to labels. I oftentimes will get athletes bringing in labels and say, is this an okay supplement to take? The first thing I want to look at is what it is, what it claims to do, and if there's any kind of red flags, any promises, any quick fixes. Typically, if it's something I haven't heard of, I might tell the athlete that I need to research it a bit more. Or if it's something that I've heard of that I know is not effective, I'll just educate the athlete about what taking it might mean. So taking it may be relatively safe, but this might not actually help with your performance, and maybe we want to be careful and run this by your coaches to make sure there's no banned substances on here. So again, we don't want to necessarily shut down the rapport we may have with an athlete when they're asking us about supplements. We want to just be able to have that conversation with them. We mentioned USP. That may be on some of our vitamin and mineral supplements, additional supplements as well. Again, usually this is a source of purity, a source of quality, although it still doesn't bring up to the same standards as being FDA approved would be. So any professional's role in recommending supplements would be to provide as much unbiased scientific information as possible. So this is what the research says. This is a dose that if we were to take, we might consider taking. And this is the safety of this supplement. We really don't want to ever recommend a supplement that we know is unsafe. That is the only time I will say you should not take this, is if it is unsafe, contradicted, or we know there's a banned substance in there that can make a player ineligible. Otherwise, we want to talk through with the athlete and help them decide what works for them and what can enhance their performance. We do want to be cautious of some conflicts of interest for those who sell supplements and are recommending supplements, because they may not be an unbiased source of information due to personal monetary gains. I know in the Code of Ethics for registered dietitians, we are not allowed to sell supplements because we would then not be an unbiased source. A good way to sum up how to talk about this information with athletes would be to guide but don't decide. So providing the information, telling them what would be appropriate for them, how they might achieve it, giving them other options. Instead of protein powder here, you may decide to, bring a sandwich to have after the gym. Or sandwich isn't convenient after the gym, sure, this protein powder can work for you. We want to help them guide, but we don't want to completely decide for them, because they may feel shut down or not listened to, or might lose the rapport. With our athletes, we want to make sure they trust us, that we're going to be honest with them, and that they can continue to come and ask us questions about these things. One of my favorite quotes is that relying on supplements to improve performance does not replace a regularly consumed healthy diet. As in everything we've taught in this course, baseline, we need to eat what our body needs for fuel. If we aren't doing that, then we are at risk for vitamin and mineral deficiencies. We're at risk for injury. We're at risk for being immunocompromised. There can be so many other things, and taking supplements to replace a regularly consumed healthy diet is not going to do it. So, in total, what we again want to think about is the supplement in question, what we know about it, what the research says about it, and how we communicate that information to our athletes. We can create an arsenal of supplements that athletes constantly ask us about, and we can create handouts if we'd like for them to educate them. But oftentimes, usually on a one-on-one basis, athletes might come and ask us. And again, we want to make sure that they are running these supplements by their sports dietitian or their compliance officer or whoever it might be if they're on an organized team or if they're competing, to make sure, again, that nothing is banned and they aren't disqualified. That's one of the most important things. So, with all that said, I appreciate you guys listening to this lecture online, and I will be available to answer any questions you have about this material, about fat, about vitamins, minerals, hydration, any of those topics that will be on our exam for Tuesday from 5 to 6:15 as our schedule says. So just reach out to me. I will be, again, on Blackboard, or go ahead and